So, good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for being here tonight. I truly, truly appreciate it. You're looking at a 15-minute chart of the diamonds, but to be honest, we're not really going to be talking about charts. I'm not going to be showing any slides. I'm going to be sharing some ideas with you guys about a win-loss ratio or a win-loss ratio. Now, one of the things that I've talked about a lot is how important it is to maintain or protect or even just think about your win-loss ratio. And I think that conversation has been missing a lot of elements here when it comes to win-loss ratio. And the topic of tonight was protecting your win-loss ratio. But to be honest, it really should have been something different. In fact, I'm working on a video idea that I want to put out there on this subject, but I'm still trying to pull some pieces together and things like that for this to discuss not only the importance of your win-loss ratio, but how do you actually even get there? How do you start focusing your trading in a direction that puts that win-loss ratio into focus and keeps you on track with your trading? Okay, so if you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. But one of the first things that I had to do as a trader is I had to think about the things that I was doing wrong. Okay, we all have that situation where we look at our trading. And I get this a lot. I'll ask people that I'm working with or coaching, and I say, well, how's your trading? And they say, well, I win about half my trades. I'm about a 50-50 trader. Okay. And then I ask, well, how's your profits? Well, not so good. They're losing money. Now, if you have some good management, if you have some good focus into your trading, and of course, a lot of us want to believe we're closer to 50-50 than maybe some of us are. And we all have that. We always want to, when we're talking with someone else, give them the best of us. And I understand that. But when we talk about being a 50-50 trader, if you have really good management skills in your trading, can you make money as a 50-50 trader? You absolutely can, but there's a few things that you have to be thinking about. First, and this is really, really important, guys, and I talk about this a lot, but I don't think I've done the best job that I could in trying to explain why this is important. We have to think about anytime we put together any kind of a win-loss ratio, we have to think about our goals. We have to think first, we have to have a plan, right? You know, we come to the market every single day and we're all wound up about finding a trade right now. Right? Just get me to the money. I just want to hurry up and trade and make some money. But for a lot of you, how many of you would like to go back about 2 or 3 weeks and just have the money back that you've lost to the market right now? If you could just go back 2 or 3 weeks and have the money back that you've lost to the market, trading when the market was crummy. Right? Pushing trades, trying to force the trades. And of those times, how many times have you heard me and Ed actually trade? Very few times, right? We have learned the discipline of knowing when it's time to trade and when it's time to stand aside. when we have an edge and when we don't. Now, when you take a look at the market and you see the market swinging between lows and highs, bouncing up and down in the range in here is 800-900 points on the Dow, and you're hard pressed over a 2-week period of time to find any time in the market where we had 2 days going in the same direction. Now, just that explanation right there, does any of that sound like a good situation to be trading in? Now, I'm speaking mostly as a swing trader. If you're a quick intraday trader, that's exactly the market you want. Okay? If you're that quick intraday trader. But if you're a swinger position trader, this is not the market to be trading. But you know, it's gone on so long, and everyone's gotten so tired of hearing me talk about uncertainty and all of those kind of things, we forget that this isn't a market for us to trade, and we push and we force trades. We just want to do something. We're here. We want to do something. Well, one of the ways that you can prevent yourself from doing that is you need to start thinking about a win-loss ratio. What is going to work for you in a trade? How many of you take trades because and take some of those trades when you know that they're riskier than they should be? That you took a trade without planning the stop? That you took a trade without knowing where your goal was? You just made that knee-jerk reaction. I've got to do something. You got caught up in the emotion of the day, got caught up in the fear of missing out. And what do we do in those situations? We commonly break our rules, and we end up racking up lots and lots of losing trades. Now, they may not be really big trades, really big losses. We may have a series of small ones, and then we get hit on that one that's really big. Because we're playing in an arena where we really shouldn't be playing. We're really trying to fight the market. Does anyone here believe that you can win, that you can impose your will on the market? That you know more about the stock market, that you know more about the price of a stock than the market does? Has it ever worked for you to impose your will on the market? It doesn't work, right? We've tried it, and we continue to lose when we do that. But here's one of the things that's causing some of the deep losses that people are sending me emails about, is we refuse to recognize our losses against our wins. We keep mounting up losses because we're trying so hard to get back to even. But we just keep cranking out the losses, digging that hole deeper and deeper. You've heard that old saying, when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. We keep digging and digging in a market that's tossing around and very, very difficult to trade. Even for very experienced intraday traders, it's difficult to trade because of the speed of the moves. Okay? And if we don't stop ourselves by some method, if we don't stop ourselves from this continuing, how long will you be able to continue trading? your capital disappears. Now, I get this question a lot. Yeah, but I got to make some money. Well, how much money are you going to make if your capital to make money on just keeps diminishing? Is that a productive use of your time and your money? Obviously, it's not, right? If we continue to give our capital back to the market when the market's not suitable for trading, how is that going to help us get to our goals to make money? So we need to recognize when the market is giving us a good quality setup and we have an edge, and we can start adding more risk to the market, doing more trading. And when we need to recognize that the market is putting up those flags and saying, man, you're just going to give your money back to the market. If you guys remember years ago, I did a class that was called Confessions of a Yo-Yo Trader. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but it was all about looking at me as a trader. Really, that's what it was. It's about me stepping up, knocking that chip off of my shoulder, not being the proud guy that says, man, I have learned all this about technical analysis. I know what's going on. Boy, that is a price pattern that has to win. That's going to win. I'm going to make it win. But become that trader that's humble in my ability in trading and knows where my limits are, knows where my edge is. Does that make sense, guys? I mean, how many of us, Malcolm made a joke today, but how many of us would slap on a lunch meat swimsuit and go swimming in the ocean? In a shark tank. Wouldn't be the wisest thing in the world, right? Well, we're in a shark tank every day when we're trading the market. All of those big guys out there, all of those institutions, all of those folks with tons and tons of capital. And we're competing with them. How many of you could raise your hand right now and say you're confident enough in your trading that you could really step up to a great big institution and compete? My hand's not going up. I know when to tap out. And the reason I know that is because I have a set of rules that protects me and helps me protect my win-loss ratio. Now, I know it doesn't sound, sexy. I'm not gonna win any great awards for hype or anything like that for a conversation like this on YouTube and Facebook and hyping and telling everybody how great a trader I am, because it's not about that. As a matter of fact, it's about doing the opposite. It's about humbling yourself to the market and saying, I have to respect you. I have to respect what the market knows more than me. I have to follow my set of rules because my rules are there to protect me. Is this making some sense, guys? And I hope you're understanding. This is not a fun subject, but it's one of those subjects that I'm really speaking to you guys from heart here, because I know the ugly, nasty feeling it is when you're watching that capital disappear and you absolutely feel incapable of stopping it. Anybody feel like that? That I just keep losing money. I keep losing money and I'm incapable of stopping the bleeding. I show up every day and I work really hard. But I keep surrendering my capital to the market. And what happens when you get emotional like that? You commonly make it worse. Right? We get all tied up in emotion. That's why they make whiskey. Yeah, we get all tied up in emotion. We get all tied up in what's going on in our trading lives. We try to put on this bravado amongst our friends, our family, our trading room friends. We try to make everybody think that, hey, everything's cool. I got this under control. When the truth is, so many don't. They don't have it under. In fact, they're so out of control. Anybody admit here that there's sometimes you just want to just scream? That you want to just smash this computer that's causing you all this pain? Cry? Sure. Okay. So we need to humble ourselves and understand one very important thing. And that is the market knows more than we know. We will never know more than the market knows. And we will never be able to impose our will on the market, no matter how much we think we know every pattern or every candlestick or everything out there. We will never be able to impose our will on the market. So how do we go about gaining some control in our trading? Well, first we have to start with a set of rules and a set of goals. You know, I talked about the win-loss ratio here on this and the idea of protecting that win-loss ratio. And some of you may just think this is just absolutely insane. But I can trade less and make more money. Because I pick and choose my trades very carefully. Not every trade is going to be a winner. I know that from the get-go. That's part of doing business. I hate these guys that come out here and they pump out their chest, yeah, we win 90% of our trades. That is just crap. Complete and total crap. If that were the case, guys, and everybody could win 90% just by following them, doing exactly what they do, there wouldn't be any money in the market to be made. Everybody would be making money. That's not the way it works, right? I can share with you over and over and over how I do things. But if you don't apply it to your trading, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for you. Why doesn't it work? You're different than me. Your account's different than mine. You have different hang-ups about money. You have a different experience level than I do. All of those things mean you have to create your plan. You can't perfectly copy mine because it won't fit you. I ask this question all the time, but I'm going to ask it again. How many of you right now suffer from a lack of confidence in your ability to trade? Okay. So let me ask this question, and this is going to be the question that nobody wants to answer. How many of you have written down your plan and are following your plan to the letter? Gets real quiet, right? So, how do we go about doing that? Well, first off, we need to think about what we're trying to achieve. Okay. Now, I get this all the time. I do. And I understand. But if we don't know what we're trying to achieve, what our goal is, we're always going to be wishy washy in the market. Okay. And I usually really try to caution people to make a realistic goal of some kind. What's a realistic goal for you? How many would say if you could make it consistent, $100 a week, it would change your trading? Everything would feel a whole lot better. Some of you have a plan where you want to make a living doing this. Some of you have a plan that you want to supplement an income with this. But we've got to put together some kind of a realistic goal that we're trying to achieve. All right. Now, is it realistic if you have a $5,000 account and say, I need to make $3,000 a month? No. The right answer there is go back to work and keep saving money. Get another job. Cut back on your expenses. Save some money. Live below your means. Save some money. You can make money on a small account. We saw Rick do it, right? His first year in trading options, trading only calls and puts with a $5,100 account, turned it into $30,000. How many of you believe you've traded way more than Rick had, or Rick did during that period of time? You didn't hear Rick calling trades every day? Pushing hard for trades every day? In fact, what you heard most of the time is be careful. Hold on to your edge. Hold on to your plan in your trading. So it comes down to a goal. Now you can always beat a goal, and that's a good thing to have. Is when you set that goal and you achieve it, you beat it. Okay? And that doesn't mean that you have to stop trading. You can continue to beat that goal. All right, but when you have that goal number out there and all of a sudden you're starting to build these losers in this lose column, that should be that warning light, right? That's flashing. Now, wait a minute. This is not going my direction. What's happened here? See, we can all have that plan. We have that plan, and a lot of us have these goals that are a little bit grand, okay? We all want to make a lot of money, right? So we set that goal. We set that achievement high. This is where we want to go. But then somewhere along the way, we hit a detour, right? Our plan is to get up here, but somewhere along the way, we're kind of spinning out over here. But instead of backing off and evaluating what's going on here, we just stand on this accelerator harder, right? Anybody feel like that right now? You've lost so much and now you just have to press every day. Got to get this money back. I got to go harder. But we miss some big steps here because we haven't learned anything yet. We're finding out what doesn't work, but have we evaluated what's happening? Have we evaluated those losing trades? What is going on? Why are we continuing to see this problem? Is it the market volatility? Has the market changed to change our ability or where our skill level just isn't there for it? It doesn't fit our trading style. Are we breaking a rule consistently? It might be trading emotionally, might be chasing trades. It might be buying stocks with too much risk in the trade. It may be not planning trades. It may be not following your plan at all, just got caught up in the emotion of the day and jumped. Okay, so we need to evaluate where we are. If you want to protect a win-loss ratio, we need to learn from our mistakes. We all make them. There's no shame in making a mistake. In fact, it's the failure that can actually elevate your trading if you face it. If you face it, if you evaluate it, if you correct it. This making sense? But we're going so fast, we just want this, we just want to make money, right? We want to be up here. I get that. But you're not going to get there on this path, right? So we have to change. The market's not going to change. We know that. The market is here to take our money. I watched a great video on YouTube the other day. You guys know I'm kind of into hiking, getting into shape for doing some stuff, and I was watching a hiking video about the Grand Canyon. And this hiker says, he says, one of the first things you have to understand about hiking the Grand Canyon is the Grand Canyon is trying to kill you. Think about the market as the Grand Canyon. All the challenges and pitfalls, institutions, big trading firms, high frequency trading stuff, dark pools, all of that stuff out there. And it's trying to take your money. It's designed to take your money. Okay, so how are we going to combat that? How are we going to beat a market that is designed to suck all of the money right out of our pockets like as if you had a brand new Hoover vacuum? Just watch it fly out. Is we have to have a good quality plan and a focused set of rules and goals. And the only way we can really get to that point is we have to evaluate our trades. If you want to protect or grow a win-loss ratio, every losing trade that you can take off of this list from the mistake that you continuously make improves your win-loss ratio. Everybody thinks about, well, I just need the perfect pattern that's going to give me the win, right? We all want that. We want that easy button. This pattern, boy, this right here, this will always produce a win. It's not the way it works. It's not the way any business works. And make no mistake, guys, this is a business. A business has goals. A business has a plan. And when all of a sudden that plan starts to break down, we need to evaluate what's going on. We need to stop our trading. And we need to evaluate what's happening. Has the market changed? Am I breaking my rules? Okay. From that evaluation, we set rules. Okay. We make rules, guidelines, or reinforce the rules that we already have there that we've been breaking. And then we get back on our path to growth. That's the only way, guys. That is the only way to get back on the path to growth, is we have to find out what's creating this problem in our trading, face it, deal with it, adapt, and then move forward. Okay. You know, Robert, it's really important that you set your goal. Okay. But it has to be realistic. Okay. I get people tell me that, well, what I really feel like is I should be able to make 40% a month on my account. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. Have you ever heard of a money manager, ever, anywhere in history, that's been able to do that consistently? And see, isn't that what we're working for, is consistency in our trading? See, if we don't have consistency, if we don't have that plan of where we're trying to go, we can never achieve consistency. We get pulled over here. We see the next shiny thing over there. We run over there. Oh, we chase this thing down, and we race over here and chase this thing down. You know, guys, it amazes me, and this might feel like a little hurtful. It's not meant, this isn't personal with anyone, but it amazes me how many people get in the market and they've not even studied how to use their trading platform. Imagine, guys, you worked for my trading firm. And I said, well, I want to pick up a position on this, place an OCO order. Here's the parameters. And you look at me and go, OCO, what's an OCO order? I don't know how to do that. How many would keep the job? Let me ask you another question. Pretty simple stuff. I don't know where to set my stop loss. Whoa. Back up. If you don't know where to set your stop loss, then you don't have a plan. You've got no plan because you don't know what your tolerance to risk is. You haven't figured out how much you can risk on a trade. Your tolerance to risk is a complete unknown. If you have a complete unknown in your trading, how are you going to be on a path of growth? Once again, if you work for my trading firm and I said, set the standard stop, and you said, well, I don't know what that is. How long do you think you'd be working for me? You see, in my construction business that I was in I built houses for years and years and years, guys. I was constantly bringing on new crew because construction is hard. I mean, it's a tough job, and people would come and go, and I was running, quite a few crews, running quite a few jobs, and so I just kind of constantly had somebody new on the crew that we were training. And I used to give this speech to every single person that stepped on my job site for the first day. And I didn't care if in fact, I fired people the first day when they come on and put on the big chip on their shoulder. Well, I don't have to do it that way. I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't care how you've been doing it someplace else. You aren't doing it that way here. Pack up your stuff. This is your last day. When they came onto my job site, they followed my guidelines and my rules, or they didn't stick around very long. I wanted all of my people to go home in the same condition that when they came to work. I didn't want pieces of them gone. I told every person that walked on my job site every day, I expect you to mess up every single day, because if you're not making a mistake, you're not doing enough. And then I told them, and I won't have a single problem with you for making a mistake, as long as you don't lie to me about it. Because if you come to me and say, man, I blew this, and I don't even care if it costs me money. I blew this, I screwed this up, we're going to have to tear this section down, all of the walls are wrong. That's a learning experience there. I can teach you something if you fess up to it, if you face it. It's the same thing with trading, guys. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes. I have to fess up to those mistakes every time I make one. I have to make a corrective measure. I have to evaluate what got me there. Was I emotional? What did I do that created this problem? And how can I fix it? But see, if you don't fess up to those mistakes, if you don't do this evaluation right here, guys, I'm telling you, you're going to struggle to be a winning trader forever. There's no shortcut to this. We have to address those things that are causing us problems. You ever met that person that's a trader? You meet them at a trade show, you meet them at a conference, a TC2000 thing, and they pump out their chest. They're the greatest trader in the world. They never lose on it. They just, oh, hey, I know, I got that. No, and you tell them something. Oh, I know all that. You don't need it. You know what's happening with that person? They're closer to living in their mother's basement than they are being successful in trading. And that's no joke. We have to have good common sense and be humble to the market. Respect its power and work with the market instead of fight it. So let's talk just really quick about a goal. And this is going to be different for everyone. Some people might want to work it out as an annual goal, a monthly goal, but I think you've got to have some kind of goal. And first off, it helps you in achieving some comfort levels with what you're doing. Okay. Now, there's people in here that would right now will tell me, well, yeah, I want a 30% return this year. Okay. Well, let's talk about what you've done in the past. How close have you been to 30% ever? Wouldn't it be better to just get on the positive side of things for a while? Let's do that first. Let's get positive. Let's get our win-loss ratio straightened out. Okay? Over this last few weeks, I've been talking a lot about that 3-8 trap strategy and talking with the Rightway Options members about those really quick intraday trades and targeting 10%. I've actually had letters from folks saying trading the 15-minute and hourly charts, just shooting for 10% is the best money they have ever made trading. Because it's consistent. $50 here, $25 there, $75, $150. But it's consistent. They're not trying to hit a home run. They're working for consistency. So think about your goal. What is your goal? What's it going to be to improve over the last couple of years of your trading? If you had a 10% return this year, would that be a big change in your trading? Massive change. If you made a 10% return this year, see, we gotta crawl before we can walk, and we gotta walk before we can run. So let's get realistic with our goals and start thinking about how we can target money in the market. You may work your goal down, and I've shown this to a lot of people over and over and over. You guys probably know the numbers. If you have a $20,000 account, and you want to make 20% this year, how much do you have to make at the end of the year? What are you going to make? How much do you have to make 20%? How many of you would feel pretty proud to be able to say, hey, I made 20% this year? That'd feel pretty good, wouldn't it? Now, this may be too big. You may have never even come close to even break even. We might want to think smaller. Okay? So $4,000, 4K is what we're after at the end of the year. What's 4K divided by 12? $350 a month. A month. A month. How many of you guys think that you can be patient enough to find good enough trades, quality enough trades that could make you $350 in a month? What part of this says I have to rush and make a trade every single day, push the limits, grind it out every single day, trying to find that trade? Forcing stuff. Making that repeated mistake over and over and over. No. If we trade less and pickier about the trades we enter, we can make more money. Right? We have to be choosier about our trades. That's what this exercise is, not to just put that grand goal out there and say, this is what I'm after, this is what I got to do, and press for that every single day. No, this tells us that we need to make 350 this month. We can do better than that if we happens to be a really good month and we get several really good trades that pop up, but we need to be dedicated to our goal. How many of you would admit that over the last couple of weeks you've had trades that would have been a great goal, but you lost it because you didn't want to take the profit? You wanted more money. Trying to get that money back. I want more money. And we let that winning trade go negative. That's almost worse, isn't it? For your psychology and your trading? To let that winning trade go negative on us? Because we saw that number, we want that number back. Used to be a problem for me, I can tell you. Stock would gap up, I'd be up $300 or something like that. Go do a couple other things, look back, the stock's at 275. My profit, is at 275. Dang, doggone, I want $300. Saw $300, I want $300. How many of you have ever done that? And then watch that trade go all the way to zero, trying to get it back to $300, trying to convince the market that you knew enough about this that they should pay attention to you. You were right. They're wrong. Do you guys see how a goal can help settle that in your mind that, hey, I don't have to take this high risk trade? When the market is really junky, I don't have to take that trade because I'm looking for this and I'm looking for consistency. And I can be patient for that right trade that fits my rules, my setup, my guidelines. By the way, how much do you need to make per week? Kind of humbling when you break it down like that, how little you really have to do to reach a goal. Right? That we don't have to force and fight the market every single day to reach our goal. Okay, what about your tolerance to risk? This goes into risk rate or risk reward in a trade. You guys have heard me say this before. I usually want, if I'm going to risk one, I want at least $2+ in return. Okay? And some people get confused on that. They get confused on that because then I say, scale out at 10%. Well, that's not 2 to 1. Scale out at 20%. Okay, that's closer to 2 to 1. But the reason I'm doing that is I'm protecting my win-loss ratio. Because I'm putting more wins in my column than I am losses. Now, when the market is really good, when the market is just the patterns, the market stable, we don't have all the uncertainty and things like that. Hey, stretch this up. First target 20%, 30%. Go on from there. But when the market is junky, accept what the market gives you. Right? You know, one of the things that I've learned, and this was hard for me, really hard for me, is to learn to be grateful for what the market gives me. Okay? Because if I'm grateful about it, think about this, guys. Trade moves up and there's $75 in this trade. You were hoping for a couple $100 or more in this trade. That was your trade plan. But the stock starts to turn back around. You're not so comfortable with the market today because something has changed. See, if you're grateful for what the market is giving you, you don't have a big problem taking that profit. Have you ever thought about that, guys? We're demanding we want more from the market rather than being grateful for what it can give us. You guys see the change in attitude on that? It's why you've seen me a lot of times. I'll be in a trade. The stock gaps in my direction, and I just immediately close the trade. Or put in a trailing stop and I'm done looking at it. It's a gift. I'm happy. I take it gratefully. Thank you. Okay? But too often we're so stubborn. Well, I've got this plan. This is what I want. It doesn't really matter what you want. Are you grateful for what the market has given you? Can you be willing to take that smaller gain and just keep adding them up? You guys have all listened to that interview that I did with Mike Peterson. Okay? Mike Peterson took a $20,000 account, had a 65% return his first year in trading. And his average win was around $120. 65% return. He just continued to gratefully accept those little pieces of money that the market kept producing for him, and he just kept stacking them up. Okay, so when you think about your win-loss, your risk ratio, also think about being grateful for what the market might give you. And not being stubborn to the fact of saying, no, damn it, this is what I want. I deserve this. And I should, and in the market, I'm going to impose my will on you and dadgummit, this is what you're going to give me. That's not the way it works. It's on the YouTube channel, Earl. My YouTube channel. Okay. So we have to have that gratefulness when we approach the market. We need to think about, hey, I appreciate that I just made some money here. And here's the other thing. Most all of us have worked some kind of real crummy job in our lives, right? I've done things to make a living for my family that, no joke, would make a billy goat puke. I think about those times. And I think about how hard I had to work to make that money. And how blessed I am to be able to click a few buttons and have an opportunity to make an income. So I'm grateful for that. I humble myself to the market. I don't try to impose my will on the market. I try to work with the market conditions. I try to adapt to what it's telling me. and I focus on my rules. And when the market gives me money, I'm grateful for it. This making some sense, guys? See, I've seen traders in over my history that have had win-loss ratios of 30% winners to losers, but they managed to make money. How do you do that? How can you only win 30% of your trades and make money? Very small losses. Yes, they manage those losses very carefully, and they let their winners make up the difference. That's how you got to do it. You got to be willing to let that market bounce around and fluctuate and give you ulcers. But you need those 3 big wins out of 10 to make money. Now, I prefer to do something a little bit different. I prefer to really work hard to take low risk entry trades, meaning that I have a setup and a plan that I believe gives me a low risk entry trade. I will even accept a lower return for the low risk entry trade. And I work for that higher percentage of wins. Now, I can achieve that higher percentage of wins because I'm not trying to hit home runs on every trade. I'm trying very, very hard. Whoa. You guys still here? Whoa, that was weird. You guys still here? You can hear me? All of a sudden, everything just went blank here. That scared me to death. Okay. So these items are really critical for us. Now, I try to work for that higher win ratio, which generally means that I'm looking at those quicker swing trades, right? I want to do my very best job of technical analysis. That means I can't be screwing around in my technical analysis. I can't be breaking my rules. I can't be fudging things. I can't be forcing, because every time I do that, I end up putting another loss in that column. I can't maintain a win-loss ratio if I don't follow my rules. Right? Every time we make that mistake where we chase a trade and it produces that loss, we need to remind ourselves in this evaluation, man, I've got to stop doing it. I've got to cut this out. Because if I just cut out that one loss this month, I would have had a 70% win-loss ratio rather than a 66% win-loss ratio. Just cutting that one loss, that one mistake that keeps plaguing me over and over and over again. Now let's talk about your risk tolerance for just a second. Guys, if you're not planning your trade that fits your risk tolerance, and it's really, I see it every day. I see it every day when we get all consumed. There's a price pattern. The stock has been up here and we've dropped down pretty far, and the stock comes back up here and everybody's like, Doug, is this a buy? Is this a buy? Came back up here in one big candle. Is this a buy? I usually just point out, well, let's see, if you buy this here and your stop loss has to go here, is that an acceptable loss? That's right, Bob. Where's your stop go? Do you know what your risk tolerance is? That should be that great big break that prevents you from chasing a trade. No, this isn't a risk that I'm willing to take. But we're in such a rush, right? We see this stuff and oh, we're missing out. And we just want to hurry and hurry and hurry. And doggone it, all of these trades are showing great big winning trades today, great big moves up in the market and everything. And I'm not in any of them, and I just feel like crap for it. I didn't make anything today, and look how much the market went up. Went up 500 points the other day, and guess what? I didn't make hardly any money on that day. And I didn't care because it didn't fit my rules. It wasn't my trade. I had no opportunity to enter that trade with any set of rules except gambling on the gap up. So it meant nothing to me. I stick to my rules. This is what I do. This is my business. And I follow my rules. Guys, you got to know what your risk tolerance is. How much can you lose before it's just too much? I can't take it. And we all know where that is, right? That number, that when that trade starts to go against you and you don't have your plan together and it's bigger than you thought and you're like, oh my gosh. That's your tolerance to risk. You can't stand it anymore. You got to know what that number is, guys. You got to find out what that number is. What can you handle? And we're all different. Each and every one of us are different. We're in a different situation, different experience levels, different hangups about money. The whole thing, we're all different. Okay. We have to make those choices every day. And every day it's a choice. Every day it's a choice to pull that trigger or to not to pull that trigger. Every day we have to follow our rules and our discipline. Not just every other day or whenever we feel like it or when the mood strikes us right. If you walked into any of the businesses that you work for in the past, anybody that you work for in the past, can you just wing it? Or do you have to follow their rules or guidelines? It's no different here, guys. You have to be the boss, though. You have to be the one that steps up, figures out why things aren't working, sets rules and guidelines to get back on course so you can stay on that path of consistency. Well, Jeff, it's kind of getting off the subject, but let's take a look. And I showed this earlier today. Here's a 5-minute chart of the diamonds. Okay. Today. Now, looking at this 5-minute chart of the diamonds, where was the trade in here, guys? Is it really even that hard to see? Do we chase this gap up open until we know anything is going on with that trade, that it's actually going to hold? Have we not seen that chart where we gap up in the morning and just sink the rest of the day? Now, it doesn't matter. I'm showing a 5-minute chart because I've done this before. It's expediency. I don't have to look through a whole bunch of trades. Okay. But where does this chart set up? The chart sets up in the same pattern I show every single day. We move up, we pull back, we prove we can hold. Buyers step up. We hold the 3-8 trap. Find your entry in here someplace. Winning trade. Now, you have to look at this trade and evaluate. Okay, now if I'm going to enter this position, I need to make my line thinner. My line got really wide for some reason. If I make my entry right in here and my stop loss goes under here, is that an acceptable risk in the trade? Some people say yes. Some people will say no. And both will be right. If it fits your plan. Okay, we're looking for that lower risk, right? A trade that I took today in STX on the daily was right here. The stock, I always do this. You guys see me do this thousands of times. I am not interested in going long a trade until the stock breaks its downtrend. Not even remotely. Break the downtrend, prove you can hold support, and then see buyers step in. Now, I cannot tell you if this trade will follow through tomorrow or not. I don't know. I have no clue, as a matter of fact. But what I do know on this trade is I got my crossover, I got my hold, 2 little dojis that held here, and then buying stepped through. I was able to pick up that trade today. I picked it up somewhere right in here. With a risk right down here. It was acceptable to me, and I sent that trade out. Now, at the end of the day, and this, means nothing at all what it'll be tomorrow. At the end of the day, that was up 9%. A single contract trade, one contract trade, would have earned you, if you just closed it today at 9%, would have earned you $55. Now, if you're trying to reach that $350 goal at the end of the month, would a $55 win today be a pretty nice thing to have? Be pretty nice, right? So could you just have taken that profit today and said, thank you, market, for giving that to me? And not be trying to hit the home run here? With this current market, if I can get any kind of a follow through, do you guys think I'll be taking, anybody that knows me, you guys think that I will be looking at taking some profits on that? What do you guys think? Think I'd be looking for money on that? Yeah, in this market, I will be. Now, let me show you another trade. What was that other trade? It was SQ. I looked at this trade for a possible entry. What do you guys think of this pattern? Would you say the stock has broken its downtrend? held and found support, nice little consolidation move. And anybody from RWO can confirm this. I caught this trade early this morning. I didn't take this trade. Now that may be a wrong decision. It may have done better than the STX trade, but I made a judgment call when I looked at this trade and I looked at the potential risk and the way the options were priced. And I chose not to take this trade and took STX. Every day we have to make decisions like that. Every day it may prove to us that we were wrong. We bought the wrong trade. This one would have done better than STX. But if the result is a winning trade, don't beat yourself up over that. I made a business decision because I didn't like the option setup on this trade. The higher risk in the trade. It was a wider bid-ask spread. The options were not set very well. Okay. So we have to make those judgment calls every single day. And if we don't know what our rules or our guidelines are, we can just be wishy-washy and just be, out there floating around on a breeze thinking, yeah, let me take that one and let me take that. Whoa, look at that over there. And that next shiny object draws your attention away and you don't stay focused and you make a mistake. We all do it. The ones that stick around this business for a long time work to eliminate those mistakes and face those problems, face those issues. So I know this wasn't a very fun session. And I know, I told everyone today I was kind of taking this win-loss ratio in a different direction. But if we're going to protect our win-loss ratio, it starts with us, right? It starts with us having a plan, being disciplined, because we can have no consistency of wins if we don't stick to that plan. Okay. So guys, I hope you took some of that to heart. I hope it didn't, I know it probably made a few people go, holy cow, he's talking about me. And the only reason it feels that way, guys, is because I've been there. I know. I've been there. I know the pain. But think about these few things and start working on them. Now, I'm going to be repeating this a lot anymore. Okay? Because I talk about this stuff and then we don't practice it. Right? We have to practice. We're not going to change these things tomorrow. We can start to change these things tomorrow. We can have the willingness to start changing tomorrow. But the hard part, after making that decision, it's like saying, okay, first of the year, everybody has that year-end thing. Okay, I'm going to lose weight this year. Well, it's easy to say, it's hard to follow through, right? It's the follow through. So after you take a class like this, after you listen to this, if this meant something to you, then the next step is to take that action, to say, I'm willing to change, and then start the process of the follow through. It's not fun. It's not easy. And it can be really uncomfortable at times because when we're following through, we're having to face our weaknesses in the market, right? We're having to do that evaluation that points out our weaknesses. And we have to be willing to look at it, face it, accept it, and figure out how we can fix it. Now, you don't ever have to do all of this stuff alone, guys. And that's one of the great things about being in a room like this. If you're having those struggles or problems or whatever, get a trading partner. Ask someone in the room to help. You know, I do a lot of that kind of stuff with coaching individually, where my job, after we teach them the plan, is just simply to hold them accountable to the rules. You know, there's nothing like there's nothing like humbling yourself to really start to affect a change. To fess up that, hey, I'm not the greatest trader in the world. That I don't have all the answers. That's okay. None of us do. It's okay if you feel exposed when you do that. We all do. In fact, it kind of feels raw sometimes when you face that stuff, right? But until we make that acceptance that we're willing to change and then take that next step to follow through, create that path, that new path that we're going to be on, that we are going to set a set of rules, we are going to follow a plan, we are going to evaluate our trades, we are going to look for problems and mistakes and correction and take corrective action on ourselves. And you guys will learn more about yourself as a trader and what's working and what's not, that it's almost impossible, if you do those things, to not see improvement in your trading. Now, you can go through it part way and then refuse to make a change. Refuse to adjust. No, doggone it, I know this is the way it's supposed to be. No, that's not how it's going to work. If we do those hard things, it will work. You see, if you have things you're not sure of, you know, there's something I really want to do with TC2000. I don't know how to do it. What's the first thing you better go do? Before you make that next trade, if this is important to you, you better figure out how to do it. Right? Take the time. It doesn't matter how many hours of video you have to watch before you figure that out. How many times you have to repeat it to figure it out. You've got to do it. Nobody's going to do it for you. You don't know how to use that trade platform. You don't know how to use those tools. What do? You buckle down and you figure it out. You call the broker. What do I do? How does this work? Show me how to do this. Send me the video. If I have to watch it 10 times, I'm going to watch it 10 times until I understand what I'm supposed to do with this. So that those questions don't keep coming up, because we can't approach the market unprepared. The market knows it. Remember, the market is there to take your money. You show up unprepared, just plan on handing over your money. You show up to work not ready to trade, plan on handing over your money. I would rather people tell me, you know what? Stayed up too late last night. I was out at a party, got a little carried away. I didn't get a chance to look at any charts. I'm all fuzzy headed this morning. I need to take the day off. I would rather somebody tell me that, because they're fessing up, right? Then somebody coming in, oh, no, I'm good, I'm great. And yeah, we're going to rock this. No, that's stupid. Be true to yourself. You ever had a fight with your spouse and then just felt like the rest of the day, maybe even the rest of the week, you're just messed up? You need to know those things about yourself. What messes you up? What's getting ahead of you in the game? Keeping you foggy-headed, not clear, emotional, compromised. And work to fix them. It's okay to stand aside. It's okay to say, I don't know. As long as you're working to fix it. All right? Guys, thank you very much. I truly, truly appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. Like I said, I took it a way different direction I think most people would have expected, but this is really important stuff. And me confronting those things with me, being a builder, hey, I was the tough guy, had a whole bunch of crew, all this kind of stuff. I couldn't bring any of that bravado to the market and make money. I had to humble myself to the market. I had to do it. Ed's had to do it. We've all had to be there. So let's just accept that that's where we all are. Let's get over it. Get over ourselves and start fixing these problems. Right? Guys, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. I wish you all the very best tonight. Thanks for sticking around so long. Kind of a tough subject, I know, but I hope it meant something to you. So I'll get this video put together and we'll get it posted to the website as soon as possible so you can watch it again if you're interested. Y'all take care. Have a great evening. I wish you all the best.